fires involving all kinds of lithium-ion batteries are on the rise.
Electric cars sparked this fire that destroyed their home.
This is why state and local officials are warning you not to drive electric vehicles.
2 electric cars were destroyed after catching fire overnight.
There's 3 Ford electric pickups in flames in a Dearborn parking lot.
Headlines about electric vehicle fires are becoming more common worldwide.
His car was towed to a shop where it then burst into flames.
Firefighters saw EVs reignite on the tow truck or much later in a junkyard.
It seems everywhere we look, there are news reports of EV fires. You would think that EV fires are fairly common occurrences, but are they? According to a study by Auto Insurance EZ, gas vehicles are 60 times more likely to catch on fire than EVs, whereas hybrids are more than 100 times more likely. Another study from PINFA NA found there are 5 fires per billion miles traveled for EVs compared to 55 fires for ICE vehicles. EV Fire Safe, an organization from Australia, analyzed global data of EV fires from 2010 to 2020, found that risk of EV catching fire was 0.0012%, while the data for ICE vehicles was estimated to be 0.1%. So everywhere we look, we found that electric vehicles are much more fire safe than gas vehicles. So why in the world are we getting much more coverage for electric vehicle fires? In this video, we're gonna delve into the reason why. In the last few years, the sales of electric vehicles have skyrocketed, and so did the public's interest in them. Vehicles that were once only in reach for the wealthy early adopters has now become accessible to almost everybody. Still, EVs are only about 7% of total auto sales in the US, so many people still don't have any experiences with them. As we know, with the rise of social media, news has become much more sensational to drive views and clicks. And there's no better way to drive clicks than with fears. Crazy as it seems, but many people do believe that EVs are part of the large conspiracy by the government and that battery inside EVs are tickling time bomb. The fact of the matter is, gas vehicle fires are fairly common sight. We all have witnessed at least one in real life and probably dozens of times in movies. It makes sense, right? It's called an internal combustion engine vehicle. It carries around gallons of flammable gasoline. It's a fire just waiting to happen. So it's really not newsworthy to report on unless the damage is catastrophic or something really unbelievable happened, like this one.
Firefighters found another miracle, though, inside the burned out car, a Bible on the front seat that wasn't burned at all.
So that is God.
I can tell you that Bible would definitely not survive EV fires because it's much more intense and harder to put out. Why is that? First, we have to understand how do EV fires happen. Lithium-ion batteries, such as those in electric cars, function by moving lithium ions between 2 electrodes, separated by an electrolyte. During charging and discharging, these ions travel back and forth, generating an electric current. However, if this delicate balance is disrupted by battery damage or excessive heat, it can trigger thermal runaway. This sets off a chain reaction of rising temperatures and accelerating chemical reactions, potentially leading to a fire. Sounds scary, isn't it? It's important to note that thermal runaway is very rare, especially in electric vehicles with good battery management systems. However, on the off chances that lithium-ion battery catch fires, it's much harder to put out, because fires in electric vehicles burn significantly hotter. While a gas car fire can reach temperatures of 1500 degrees, an electric car fire can soar up to 5000 degrees.
A gas vehicle fire takes about 500 gallons of water to put out. Electrical vehicle fires can use up to 30,000 gallons of water or more.
And even if the fire appears to have been extinguished, there is dangers of reignition hours or even days after.
Well, fire crews in Sacramento had to think outside the box when battling a stubborn Tesla fire that kept reigniting. The car was at a local junkyard since it had been involved in a crash a few weeks prior.
Rescue came back to Ace Superior Towing on Monday, where a Tesla Model S involved in a deadly accident keeps catching fire.
We've been out here 3 times already, to put the fire out.
And unlike gas cars, where we know exactly where the fuel tanks are for each vehicle, different EVs have different battery configurations. A lot of EVs have their batteries on the floor pan, which means the vehicle might need to be jacked up to shoot water. Our fire department in Arizona figured out a more ingenious way to do this.
This right here mimics the width of a casing on an EV battery. And look how easily they were able to pierce it.
Goes right through it. It's pretty amazing.
In Netherlands, firefighters got creative. Instead of trying to extinguish the fire, they submerged the car in a tank filled with water. And honestly, that's very smart. Just imagine the amount of water saving compared to spray it down with hose. And what if you don't actually need water to do this?
Fire departments took a burning electric Waymo car and dropped it into a storage container covered in wet sand and let it slowly burn out over a week.
Other firefighters use a huge blanket to deprive the fire of oxygen.
Fire blanket is made of graphite and a silicon polymer. It helps isolate the flames and reduce oxygen to the fire, making sure the fire stays out.
With how fast EV technology are developing, researchers are experimenting with different ways to mitigate the risk associated with fire. Scientists at Clemson University are attempting to design a self-extinguishing rechargeable battery. They're replacing a combustible electrolyte inside the battery with a chemical found in fire extinguisher. This chemical will prevent the flame from spreading from one battery cell to the next, essentially prevent thermal runaway. So if you're in the market for an electric car, don't worry, the chances of your car catching on fire is slim to none. And the technology to prevent battery fire is only gonna get better. ICE vehicle, on the other hand, is really as good as it can be. So hopefully in a few years, you won't hear any more about EV battery fires. Unless if the Holy Bible survives the fire.
So that is God. So if you don't believe, I don't know what to say.
As always, this is Fatco Media. Stay fabulous. I will see you on the next one.